Die!
Laurie Strode faces off against Michael Myers for the final time for the 4th time in Halloween Ends. Alright, before I give my thoughts on this, I should give my thoughts on the previous films as well as just slasher films in general, because I think that does play a big part in people's enjoyment of these movies. Slasher films in general, I'll be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of. I'm more of a supernatural guy. When somebody says, "What's that behind you?" I like not knowing what it's gonna be. In a slasher film like Halloween, I always know it's gonna be Michael Myers, so it doesn't scare me. But I do acknowledge when they're done well. Halloween is done very, very well. It's very influential. It feeds into the primal fear of being followed and chased and hunted down by a psycho. I mean, honestly, that's much more relatable than something like ghosts. I mean, like, we don't know if ghosts exist. We know psychos exist. So I get why people are afraid and they keep going back to slasher movies. With that said, I think the first one is great. I don't get into any of the sequels, though again, I do acknowledge some are done well. 2 is done well. 3 is fine for being something different, and I do like the reboot with Jamie Lee Curtis as an old woman. I thought that was a nice spin on the idea. I didn't think it was anything great, but I thought it was done okay. All the other sequels, I could care less about. I don't think they're very good. I don't find them that interesting. I think they're very boring. But I do get why people get into them and the formula that you always see in slasher movies. With all that said, I thought this movie was terrible.
You pretend like you moved on, but you're actually just obsessed with death.
What her agent says every time she signs on to a new Halloween movie. If you weren't a fan of Halloween Kills, I can't wait to see what you think of this. And again, maybe I'm wrong. There's a lot of times where I kind of guess what people are gonna think about a movie, and I can be wrong like any critic can, but I get the feeling people are not gonna get into this film. The biggest problem being, Michael Myers isn't in it that much. He spends most of the time in a sewer. Like, he is out of commission in this. We don't even get that many kills until maybe the end of the first act. And it's done by somebody else. I won't go into too many details, but it's pretty much someone else that is doing these murders. Michael Myers is very much kept out of the picture. They work him in a little bit. It's almost like symbolically he's there again without going into it too much. I kind of want to save the disappointment as a surprise, but this is definitely one of those movies where they have a commentary. They want to really focus on that. And then the characters and the formula and everything you love in a slasher film comes second. And I think people are not gonna like that.
It's been 4 years since Michael Myers vanished without a trace.
Trust me, it's gonna feel like 4 years until he does something in this. The tragic thing is the message is not that bad. I argue it doesn't fully follow through in getting it across, but at the same time, I think there is a good idea in here. I just don't think it's for a Halloween movie. And let's say, for the sake of arguing, you can watch this film and you've just never seen a Halloween film. You don't know who Michael Myers is, you just come into this completely blind and they just give you the recap and the opening, you don't know anything about it. This would still not be a very good movie. Because we're focusing on someone else do these murders, you think maybe that's gonna be the big climax at the end, is that Jamie Lee Curtis is gonna fight against this person. But they don't do that, and part of me was thankful for that, but at the same time, when Michael Myers does come back into the picture, it's not very exciting because we've been watching this other dude most of the time. And Michael Myers now doesn't seem very threatening. He seems very tired. I mean, he's literally sleeping most of the movie. Why am I afraid of that guy? I mean, in the first Halloween 2, which is actually the third Halloween 2, Jamie Lee Curtis fighting back was like a really big thing because she was a lot older and Michael Myers was still very threatening in it. And I'm telling you, they should just stop there. They should not have made these 2 sequels. I think if you just want to feel like, that's a good ending to Halloween in general, just stop at Halloween 2, 3. Because to me, it really feels like they found out that was a big hit and they're like, well, we need more. Let's say it's a trilogy, even though this would technically make it 4 films because they were starting over, but whatever. And they just quickly put these sequels together, not knowing what to do because they blew their load in that film. I mean, Jamie Lee Curtis as an old woman fighting Michael Myers is very satisfying to see. Where can you go from there? You really can. So in the second film, they take her out of commission, which was not very exciting. A lot of people didn't enjoy, and you're focusing on a lot of these dummies make a lot of dumb mistakes, and everybody said that's a bridge film. Oh, well, you give it a pass because it's a bridge film. If this is what it was a bridge to, man, something got lost in construction because these really don't connect well at all.
Something feels different. He's more dangerous.
In the scariest way of all, an influential way.
Oh my god!
The characters in these movies make so many dumb mistakes that I know is part of the course. You're looking forward to that in slasher movies, but because it's someone else doing the killing, and there's not that many deaths in it compared to the other Halloween films, you're just stuck with them talking with each other in this town that is about the size of this room because everyone keeps bumping into each other. I am not kidding. I started laughing hard every single time a character would just bump into someone else coincidentally. Now, again, in a movie, you give them a little leeway. It can happen once, at the most twice. It happens like 20 times in this movie, and every single time it happens, I laughed harder. And Laurie's niece, in this movie, you would think, oh, well, she's a survivor of Michael Myers, so she would know something about seeing a psycho, but literally this dude tells her that he killed someone, and she's like, grabs his hand, and they go for a walk. Like, what is happening in this film? Oh my god, we're gonna see what he looks like. Wait, we saw what he looks like. There's one scene where Minnie Myers, I don't know what you want to call him, is talking and saying, no, get away from me. He doesn't want anything to do with this girl. And I'm not kidding, she is standing there like this the whole time, like what am I even, it is so bizarre. And the mask, oh my god, the mask that Minnie Myers uses in this is so hilarious. I swear it must have been intentionally funny, but I don't think this film is smart enough to have a sense of humor. Its head is too up its own ass in its own commentary. By the time we do get to the big showdown with Jamie Lee Curtis and Michael Myers, you've seen it so many times in other movies, and nothing new is added here. And I'll say this, I really don't think they're bringing Michael Myers back, or if they do, I will definitely pay money to see how they do it, because man, the reconstruction of this dude is a movie in and of itself. And oh my god, you want the cheapest fake jump scares in a movie? Somebody opens the door, what sound does it make? Alright. Like that. In this, it makes, because everything is a fake out jump scare. The audience I was with wasn't even jumping. I saw it on IMAX with the sound cranked up. They weren't jumping at all. They just got used to it to a point where they were kind of snickering and not a fun, oh, you got me, more of a, oh man, this is embarrassing, right?
You came here to kill me, so do it.
Preferably not with an audience score. So I will say this, the acting in this film is pretty good. I feel like everyone is really trying their damnedest to put out something that feels very personal and again is very clearly trying to get a message across, and they're playing it the best of their abilities. I'm really hoping a lot of the younger actors in this especially go on to something really, really cool, because they're pretty good in this. But man, the writing, the directing, even some of the editing. There's a scene where Jamie Lee Curtis is talking to Minnie Myers, and she's saying like, you need help, I can help you. Stay away from my niece, she's not for you at all, you little psychopath. Like, what happened there? It was literally the same sentence. She just completely changes tone, and it was off camera, so you could tell someone just edited these two together, and it makes no sense. There's not even that many impressive deaths in it. The death of a disc jockey, that was pretty creative. I thought that was fun. All the others you've seen in all the other films, there's nothing new to them, and I thought was really, really underwhelming. But again, there's people that like locusts as the main threat in a Jurassic Park movie, so I'm not entirely sure what people are gonna think about this, but I will say this, if you're a fan of the formula, we all know the slasher formula. I personally kind of get sick of it, but I like a film when it does like a spin on it, but it still does it. If you're a fan of that formula, I don't think you're gonna get into this. If you're a fan of Michael Myers being really creepy, the giant monster, the shape, all that stuff, I think you might have some interest in the idea they're trying to get across here, but I don't think you're gonna like the execution. I think anyone that enjoys this movie is gonna like the message more than the film itself, and maybe that'll ride you through. I'm not sure. So I'm giving it 1.5 woman with unicorns. I like the acting and the message it was trying to get across. I think the writing and directing just completely botches it. With that said, what do you think? Because by God, I really want to know your thoughts on this. Did you actually think this worked and that the message did come across and it made for good commentary and this was a good spin on the slasher film idea and the power of Michael Myers and what he can do? Or do you think it was just a complete waste of time? It destroyed the Halloween franchise. It had something good with the reboot and then just destroyed it again like these Halloween movies usually do in their sequels? Or are you somewhere in between where you just wanted to see some people get axed off and it got there eventually and it says Halloween in the title, it's released around Halloween, and that's all you need? Let me know your thoughts and I'll see you next time. Take care.